This is the Chris 6 News Back to School Town Hall, brought to you with limited commercial interruption by the law offices of Herman & Herman.
Welcome back, everybody. So we're talking extracurricular activities right now, football, band, anything that goes in that direction. You know, Toloso Midway, Calallen, West Oso, you all started sports practice this week. And Dr. Conrado Garcia, you had your coaches submit to you, as you were saying earlier, a very detailed plan on how they were going to keep kids safe during practice. What does that plan look like overall?
Here's the deal that we wanted, obviously, to get our kids out there. They're ready, and we're ready for them. And so our coaching staff developed a comprehensive plan that included, for example, with the football team, that our trainer, our athletic director, and coaches not only take temperature of the players, have a daily questionnaire, what they would do. They would put those face shields that go in the past was more for styling, but now who would have known it's really a good protector from the virus. Face mask as well. They have to have their own water bottle. No lockers will be assigned. No congregating in locker rooms. These things would have to be done outside in the field. But here's another very important factor. It's a parent choice. If they do not want to participate yet because they don't feel safe, they don't feel comfortable about the environment, they'll be held harmless. When they are ready to participate and so on, we will welcome them back into the team with no penalties whatsoever.
And you know, I was many years a high school coach. Yes. There's no better, more effective at-risk program in any school than your athletic, band, extracurricular programs. But having said that, we were initially going to start school on August 3rd, and the UIL has given us, because of our classification, an opportunity to come back and start practice on August 3rd. But we moved our start of school back to the more traditional fourth Monday in August 24th. And I just didn't think it was in the best interest of our community and our kids, which is different than other communities. I just didn't feel comfortable saying, okay, it's not safe to have in-person instruction in school, but it's okay to practice football and volleyball and cross country. So we're moving it back in proportion to when we're starting school. And I know that's very disappointing to our student athletes and our band members and many of our parents, but it's something that I had to do.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Steve, for sure.
I'd like to talk
up to the rest of our panelists. Yes, please. Dr. Henry.
Athletics and co-curriculars is a very essential part of the education of our young men and women in our schools. And these are very difficult decisions during a very difficult time. In our Catholic schools, we're actually beginning strength and conditioning on August 10th, but only for phase 1. We're not making any more plans at this point in time until we study the data, the statistics. We receive information from our local health authorities, the various physicians we work with, the various organizations and agencies that we look to for advice and recommendations. And so we, as someone mentioned earlier, we really want to have them engage with one another, but in a very safe way, with the wearing of the mask, with social distancing out on the field, strengthening conditioning of 8 to 10 feet apart, small groups of 10 or less, small cohort groups. And as we wait and as we see and we have more time to study and analyze, we'll determine what phase 2 will look like. And this is just not for football, but we're looking at band, we're looking at certainly drill team and cheerleading and spirit and all of those kinds of things. It's a lot of people that we're impacting with decisions about athletics and co-curricular.
Well, we have a different situation for our district. We have one 4A high school, which is Miller, and they have started their practicing. We did have all of our high schools do the strength and conditioning with no incident. You know, a lot of times over the summer, many of our athletes play for travel teams and select teams. And I think our coaches have done an outstanding job that because of the risk that those individuals could present to the rest of the players, the coaches themselves asked if anyone was going to be traveling out of the city to go play in these various tournaments through select ball and summer ball, that they would be better served to not attend the strength and conditioning program and to continue to travel with their team. The difference that we're seeing here in making that decision is that with these programs, whether it's football, volleyball, whatever the sport, band, is that you can stagger the times out to keep your numbers low. And then you can also make sure that they're socially distanced during those staggered times with low numbers.
I'm going to get Dr. Anjum to jump in real quick. Just give me your take on sports and kids and COVID.
The challenging part, I think, with the virus is it's so fluid that we don't even know how things are going and you know how it will be by next month. So I think the plan that everybody has outlined, depending on their own districts, seems pretty reasonable to me. Respecting the fact that children need to get outdoors, and athletic performance and contact sports, for that matter, are part of, I think, their learning process as such. But at the same time, taking all the necessary precautions that we can. And once again, as somebody mentioned before, we can never be 100% sure. But all we can do is probably try and take all these precautions. So the rate of transmission between children by themselves is not very high at this time, as the data suggests.
And we have so many kids, though, in our districts that will, that live with grandma and grandpa. And I think we touched up on this real briefly, but that is a concern.
That obviously, I think, still remains a concern and will remain a concern. And I think especially for families where they know that they have people at home who meet these high risk conditions, more than 55 or 60 years of age with other underlying illnesses, will be the high risk population. So I think by itself, I think society and people need to realize that they need to take their own precautions too at the same time.
I think that's really well said. The school districts can't do it alone. The teachers can't do it alone. We need our community, we need our parents to also practice what we're preaching in order to keep our community safe.
Absolutely.
Melissa Solis, whose child attends Woodlawn Elementary, asked the following. She says, what happens if parents don't have devices, laptops, computers, even tablets or phones for the kids that can't do the e-schoolwork? Jessica Reina, whose 4 kids attend West Coso and will be doing so virtually, asked the following. She says, the only concern I do have is that we have only one device. I have several kids in school. How are they going to do their work all at one time? So basically, what do parents do if they don't have laptops and they have multiple kids at home?
Is to provide loan equipment, Chromebooks, webcams, hotspots for students and families to take home, should they need that equipment, those devices, to help them with remote learning. We have a loan procedure and process that worked very well for us during the 9 weeks that we were shuttered.
Is there some money also that's been allocated by the government to do this? Roland, I'll throw that to you since you have the largest school district.
Recently, they've allowed school districts to apply through Operation Connectivity if they're needing some extra devices for their district in remote learning. I'm very happy to share that our school board recently approved close to $4 million worth of technology devices to try to make sure that we were reaching all of our students who are going to choose the remote learning. There is two types of remote learning, and that's synchronous learning, which is where students are going to be interacting face-to-face with their teacher over the computer. But then there's also asynchronous, and that would be a good example of where an asynchronous situation might come about, where you can't have multiple kids with only one device receiving instruction at the same time. So in CCISD, when our teachers are providing their instruction to their classes, all of it's being recorded. And so if a family has to run into that situation, the lessons that our teachers are providing throughout the day to students, they will be able to go and pull up that lesson so that that student can do the same exact assignment or receive the instruction at a different time that the class actually did.
However, access does not always translate into equity. And putting a device and connectivity into a home is not always good enough. And we as public school districts have a responsibility to not only put that device and connectivity into that family's home, but we also must provide the high quality instructional continuity that goes with those devices, because we have single parents with multiple children that have low technology skills, and our expectations are going to be very high for those kids with respect to teaching and learning. So that's the part of the puzzle that we have to improve at here in Fremont.
Well, yeah, I want to, I appreciate what you say, Steve, about, it is on our teachers to provide that high quality delivery. Another piece that we've built in are monthly lessons or learnings, and then taped lessons on, or not lessons, but how parents can support their children through this to hopefully answer some of their questions as they help their students and facilitate their learning environment at home. We're very fortunate that we were able to purchase a device for every student in our district, as well as provide hotspots for every family who needs one. And we are expecting everyone to use our district issued device because we can better support it with if there's any tech support needed, as well as it comes loaded with all the programs and software that our students will need in their homes.
All right, well, this 1 hour, it went by pretty fast. And our hope, of course, is that as a parent, you had a lot of questions and they were answered. And as we leave you now, I do want to turn to all of our superintendents and just ask them to talk to our parents out there, our teachers. Give us a final pitch on why you believe your schools are ready to educate safely during the pandemic.
I am confident that the education that we can provide is going to be of high quality, whether they choose face-to-face or remote learning. We have worked really hard over the entire summer to get ready to this point. We can assure parents too that they may be thinking that remote learning in school is going to be like it was in the spring, and that is not the case. At that time, schools were more about in a survival mode, but providing top quality instruction from our teachers, who I know have worked hard. They're going to be reaching out to their students every day, and we want to take the best care as possible of our teachers, our employees, and our students.
And every community is different. In our community, in the Fremont community, at this time, it's safe to come back to school. However, that may change next week. Our schools provide so many services to our students. High quality education, nutritious meals, health care, speech and vision. It's really, really important that we get our students back in our schools when it's safe as possible. And in Fremont, we have experience in doing it the safe, right way. Thank you for the opportunity.
So as I speak to parents, I want them to know that their children are a true blessing to us. We love them like they are our own children. Our teachers are dedicated to the safety and the well-being of every child entrusted to our care. We are committed to robust academic instruction, whether it be remote learning, distance learning, the hybrid model, person to person. All summer long, our teachers have been engaged in professional development opportunities, workshops, and seminars that strengthen their ability and capacities and skill sets to deliver online instruction, to improve on what they've done in the past, in the spring of the year, and also some new initiatives and rollouts for our schools. Our schools provide very safe, nurturing, loving environments where students grow in faith, knowledge, and service.
We have a golden opportunity here, and the opportunity is that we know it's a very personal decision from families. And I can assure them that the superintendents of this wonderful city and outlying areas such as Fremont and our Catholic schools, we're listening. We hear you. We hear that you want wonderful instruction, but we also hear you want a safe environment. And I can tell you, we are doing everything humanly possible to join the two. So we'll see you, West Oso ISD.
Go Bears!
Virtually on August 24th. And again, thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Conrado. And of course, Dr. Cavazos, our newest superintendent to the area.
To our Wildcat Nation, students and staff and families, we are known for academic excellence, and that will continue whether you choose a virtual option or a face-to-face option. And we've enhanced our virtual learning experience from the spring. We are thrilled and super excited to see you on August 13th virtually, and then in face as we phase in beginning September 8th. And what we want you to know, families, is that we want the same things for our kids. We want them happy, healthy, safe, and learning. And we ask that you focus on extending grace, on focusing on being unified as a community, and looking at what our kids are gaining through this experience. They're learning how to be resilient. They're learning how to adapt to change and how to unite for a common goal. And we thank you for the opportunity to serve your students and look forward to seeing them back.
Go Wildcats as well. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Cavazos. And last but certainly not least, our wonderful doctor who has joined us today, who has taken the time to join us today, Dr. Anjoum.
I think, returning to school is so important for the healthy development of, of children and for their well-being. Just to pursue this process of reopening of schools in a way that is safe for all the students, teachers, as well as the staff, I think is very important. Part of it is science, and some part of it is obviously, something that science cannot explain. But I think when you're faced with a decision of such gravity, it is very essential that all the experts, whether those are public health officials, physicians, and then, in consultation with the educators and members of our affected communities and institutions, work together and develop a safe environment. So I feel very comfortable today after hearing, everybody's plan and looking into things the way, it has been described by all the superintendents, and I feel a lot safer.
And we appreciate all of our panelists. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and to talk about what's on everybody's minds. And that's going back to school. Again, the safety of our kids, our educators, our administrators, our staff, really our community as a whole. So I thank you. And I want to let our viewers know that the conversation does not end here. Coastal Living, which airs on our sister station, KZTV, will be hosting Education Week next week. Also speaking with some of our panelists who are here today in more detail. That's going to start Monday of next week at 9 in the morning, again on KZTV. Plus, there will be a drive-through back-to-school fair that we want to let you know about that's happening this Saturday. It's hosted by a group that's called Lead First. It's going to be outside the Ray High School gym from 10 in the morning until 2 p.m. Immunizations will be offered for free for eligible students. Backpacks would also be given away. And the Coastal Bend Food Bank is going to be there handing out milk and fresh produce. Everything is free, and again, happening this Saturday. So on behalf of our superintendents and Dr. Anjoum and all of us here at KRIS 6 News, thank you for watching and good night.
The Back to School Town Hall is a presentation of KRIS 6 News and has been brought to you by the law offices of Herman & Herman.